thank you for taking 10 minutes to get up to speed on world events. I'm Carl Azuz. Despite the cool and rainy weather Saturday night, crowds still gathered in the streets of the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They were remembering, mourning, and honoring the victims of a shooting that took place there that morning. During worship service at the Tree of Life Synagogue, a gunman entered the building and attacked. 11 people were killed. Within minutes of receiving 911 calls, police arrived. They say they confronted a man armed with an assault-style rifle as he was leaving. There was a shootout. 2 police officers and 2 SWAT officers were wounded, and after he was shot multiple times, the suspect surrendered to police. Investigators say he had 3 handguns in addition to the rifle, and they believe he acted alone. The Anti-Defamation League, an organization devoted to protecting Jewish people and fighting all forms of hate, says Saturday's shooting was the deadliest attack on a Jewish community in U.S. history. Investigators are treating it as a hate crime. A federal law enforcement official says the suspect made anti-Semitic statements during the shooting and had spoken out against Jews on social media. A U.S. attorney says the crimes he's charged with could lead to the death penalty. Leaders and organizations from around the world, including the Rabbinical Assembly, U.S. President Donald Trump, and Pope Francis, all spoke out against anti-Semitism and offered condolences to the victims and their families. Updating another crime story, investigators have also made an arrest in a case involving a number of suspicious packages that were addressed to more than a dozen prominent U.S. Democrats and critics of President Trump. Some of the packages carried pipe bombs, though none of them went off. A break in the case came last Thursday when investigators traced 5 of the packages to a mail processing center near Miami, Florida. Then they found a fingerprint on one of the bombs, and that led them to the suspect. The FBI says the manhunt for the person responsible has ended, but police say Americans still need to be cautious because there could still be some packages in the mail. The FBI hasn't said yet what they think motivated the suspect. His van was covered with pictures of politicians, and some of the Democrats had target signs on them. The suspect reportedly told investigators the bombs weren't designed to actually harm anyone, but the FBI says they were not fakes. Police believe he was making the packages inside his van, where officials found stamps, envelopes, and other mailing equipment. From South Florida to South Korea now. It's one of the 3 countries where workers put in the longest hours. In fact, the CIA World Factbook says that long working hours are a challenge to living in South Korea, and that despite that, the country still struggles with low worker productivity. That may be changing. For businesses with more than 300 employees, it used to be that the government limited their working time to 68 hours per week. That's been reduced to 40 hours plus up to 12 of overtime. Still, not everyone is getting relief.
South Korean workers are indeed logging a lot of hours. In 2017, the average worker logged 2,024. The only places where people are working longer hours than South Korea are Mexico and Costa Rica. That's according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which tracks working hours in 37 countries. But a new law aims to change that, limiting South Korea's workweek to 52 hours, down from the maximum of 68.
Because Korea had to quickly get back on its feet after the Korean War, a structure was created that forces workers to do a great amount. That structure became a culture.
Legislators hope that the new law will inspire new attitudes toward work and that it will create better work-life balance. Here at Seoul City Hall, they've already taken a symbolic step forward. On Friday nights, they kill the lights. It forces workers to start their weekends.
At KT, a telecom company, the sound of that bell signals the end of every workday before the screens go dark.
After that certain time, the system shuts down and I cannot log in anymore, so even if I want to, I cannot work.
Kim Jong-jun says shorter hours force him to be more productive. But Jung Hak-dong, a postal worker, says he doesn't have enough time to do his job.
If you don't finish your work by the time you get off in the evening, there's no choice but to come in early in the morning voluntarily to finish it.
The law doesn't apply to public servants like Jong. The post office voluntarily shortened the week. They've taken on subcontractors and some full-time workers to fill the gaps. But a commission set up to examine postal workers' conditions says 2,000 more jobs should be added to make a shorter week feel like less stress. In Seoul, Alexander Field, CNN.
10-second trivia. Which of these bodies of water was once called the Inhospitable Sea? The Red Sea, the Black Sea, the Indian Ocean, or the Dead Sea? To the ancient Greeks, the Black Sea was once known as the Inhospitable Sea, and that's where the oldest intact shipwreck ever found was recently discovered.
There are ships down there that have never been seen apart from in murals and paintings and in books. And these are the first time they have been seen since they were afloat.
And this is actually one of the big, moments of archaeology, the moment of revelation, the moment of discovery, what we're experiencing right now.
First Descents is a nonprofit organization whose founder became a CNN hero for his efforts to give life-changing experiences to people with cancer. The program has grown since we first featured it 2 years ago, and it just tested an event for young adults who have multiple sclerosis, MS, a disease of the central nervous system that can cause paralysis or muscle tremors.
First Descents provides outdoor adventures to young adults whose lives have been impacted by cancer. Our vision is to become the global leader in adventure-based healing. Since our first program in 2001, evolution has really been a part of our DNA. We expanded into other sports, other locations, added local adventure communities. And then in 2016, CNN Heroes featured us on an international stage. And since then, we've been approached by a bunch of different patient advocacy groups, inquiring as to whether or not our programs would apply to their populations. Those conversations led us to believe that young adults with MS could benefit from this type of adventure-based healing. And so that's why this year we're going to pilot our first program for young adults with MS. It's been really exciting to see the credibility given to First Descents and this notion that adventure can be healing.
I didn't know what to expect. I figured I'd have a good time, but I didn't really know what I'd get out of it. At home, I'd always avoided support groups for MS because we're just going to complain about things to each other. What else am I going to get from it? It's way more than I ever expected. I have recognized that a lot of other people are really going through the same thing as me in different ways. It's not just the symptoms. It's not just complaining. It's bonding over that shared experience. And now I feel like I have people that I need to keep in contact with for the rest of my life. It was exactly what I needed.
The Disney character Dumbo is famous for soaring high over the circus. The real-life Dumbo octopus is known for sailing thousands of feet below sea level. Researchers recorded the rare creature from the deep waters off California. It's called the Dumbo octopus because, well, ears, or at least fins that looked like them. But while some people might think this is cute, its prey doesn't. This octopus can swallow it whole. So it's definitely not in the animal's fin club. Not a lot of shrimp or crabs would want to ink a deal with octopi. They tend to suction the life out of their enemies. It's usually a good idea for them to skedaddle before they get in an 8-arm wrestling match with a creature octoposition to win. I'm Carl Azuz, cracking puns for CNN 10.